Hello, this is Jason from Atomic Martian Toy Reviews, and I present to you a review of Crazy Legs from Pursuit of Cobra Wave 6. Here's a close-up of the package. Figure he's a Assault Trooper, Crazy Legs. Here's the back of the card. Here's his file card here. Oliver Thomas from Fort Dodge, Iowa. As far as the card goes, it's pretty decent. The only thing I don't like is the different look. This version, the actual figure version of Crazy Legs looks very young, and this version of Crazy Legs actually looks a lot like Henry Rollins or someone a little bit older. But overall, I think they did a very good job matching the color schemes and the original look of the original Crazy Legs. Now this is the third figure of Crazy Legs ever made. The first two were made in 1986 and 1987. There was a regular figure which was red and tan, just like this one, and then they made a Night Force variant of that figure. No other figures of this character have been made since, and this character in the G.I. Joe universe is actually dead. He died in a bloodbath that claimed the lives of Doc and Breaker and a bunch of other characters. Here he is outside of the packaging. The packaging opened. Here's a couple of his weapons. I'm sorry if I can't remember where a lot of these weapons came from, but I'm pretty sure all of them are just reused weapons. This one looks very familiar. It's a cool looking gun though. I like how the scope is on the side of it. Everything. I think I have my Major Blood actually holding this gun. This gun also looks very familiar to me. This part like folds in and out. Looks like a cross between a handgun with a silencer and an Uzi. I don't know, it's kind of strange looking, but I can't remember what figure this one came with either. This third and final gun is a handgun. It has the extra little, I'm assuming this is like a laser pointer thing on the bottom of it. No, there's no trigger to this gun, so I'm not sure exactly how they fire it. Maybe it's like a flare gun or something. Alright, here is the figure outside of the package. Overall, I think he looks pretty cool. A lot of these parts are reused parts. Just like most of the new Pursuit Cobra figures coming out, they've kind of just given up on making a lot of new extra parts, and they're just kind of kit bashing mostly everything. I think they did a pretty good job on this guy though. The legs look sort of familiar. I'm thinking of like Snow Serpent maybe. The head doesn't look familiar though. I'm pretty sure that's a new face or a new head. When you take his helmet off, he has this little toboggan on. His head. Now the backpack and the harness and everything is removable. You can pop it off just like this. I was a little worried that there wasn't going to be, well, maybe it actually, no. Actually the leg parts keep it attached, so it's not completely removable. That's a little disappointing, unless you can take them apart. That's really strange. Wonder why they made this part detachable, but you can't actually remove it from the figure. Guess that's how they put it on there. That snaps into place like that. It doesn't limit his mobility that much. It makes his legs not move in and out as much as before, but other than that, you can pretty much put him in pretty cool, interesting poses. He definitely looks like somebody that's just jumped out of an airplane. Now his helmet, his goggles are removable, which is a good feature. Let's see what he looks like with the goggles, like over his eyes. I don't know. He still kind of looks kind of goofy like that. Let's just push him back up. Forget about that. So overall, I don't mind the head as much. I mean, a lot of people are really bashing it. It does make him look very young. He does look like he's not old enough to be a member of G.I. Joe, but always considered like Crazy Legs to probably be a young guy. He always seems sort of like a daredevil almost. And here he is in a pretty standard military pose, holding some of his guns. It looks pretty cool here. It's easy to get his guns and his weapons in and out of his hands. The one thing I do find kind of annoying about this character is the fact that you can see this little hole in his chest. Obviously this chest was used on a different character, and that hole was important to that character, but they didn't fill it in. They expect the harness to cover it up at all times, and it just doesn't do that. Sometimes the harness, depending on the position you put them in, moves, and and it no longer covers up the hole. Right now I have it covered up pretty well though. So you kind of have to tinker with it, move it up, push it up to cover it up. So they could have filled that in. Not really sure why they didn't do that other than cost purposes. And before I picked up this figure, I actually purchased an Elite Forces paratrooper just for this figure. I wanted to have a cool looking parachute to have this guy in. There is going to be an issue with the harness. I will have to somehow rig the ropes and stuff like that up to his existing harness instead of just replacing his harness with this harness, which I had originally thought I was going to do. But since you can't remove it from his legs without cutting it or something, I think I'm just going to rig it up a different way, because I want to have this guy suspended from the ceiling. Now overall, I do like this character, and I do appreciate the fact that Hasbro went ahead and made Crazy Legs as a figure. He is kind of an obscure character. Many people remember him from his figure in the mid-80s, but if you didn't grow up with G.I. Joe around that time period, you probably don't even know who Crazy Legs is. He is just for the most part, he's just a kit bash, but I think they did a really good job on matching his attire up with the original figure and still giving him a modern look. Overall, for appearance, I'm going to give him an 8. I do think he looks nice as a character. The paint detail and everything on him makes him fit. He'll actually fit in very nicely with a lot of Pursuit of Cobra figures. For value, I'm going to give him a 7. These figures tend to retail for around $8, $8.50, depending on where you get them from, or if you have to order them online, you're looking closer to $9 or $10 with shipping. It is a little disappointing with the fact that so many parts were reused to make this guy. He does have a new head sculpt, which is redeeming. But overall value, you don't really get a whole lot of stuff with him. I think if he came with a parachute, that would have probably increased his value just a little bit. Now, as far as quality goes, I think he's a well-made figure. His weapons stay in his hands very well. His feet actually, the peg holes in his feet actually fit. His stand actually fits on his feet. The hole in his chest is a little upsetting, but for the most part you can tinker with the harness position and cover it up. I don't like the fact that the harness is not removable, so that would lower my score to a 7.5 for overall quality. I think had they given him a completely removable harness, filled in the hole, and maybe did a different face sculpt, he probably would have gotten a higher score. Needless to say though, I don't mind adding this character to my collection. I think he looks cool enough to be added into the collection, but I think there was a couple small details that Hasbro could have done to make this character above and beyond, and on par with a lot of other Pursuit of Cobra figures that have come out so far. So that's it. Alright, you can check out our website at atomicmartians.com, and thanks for watching. Bye.